Hello, and we got some spicy crypto predictions for 2024. Five of them. First one, obviously, Bitcoin price. I believe Bitcoin will reach 120K sometime by the end of next year. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to end the next year at 120K. Just sometime in the process of next year, after the ETF, after the halving, it's going to reach 120K. I do think that's going to be close to its top. It might reach a little bit above that sometime going into 2025, but I believe that Bitcoin is going to reach 120K sometime within the realm of next year. And I think Bitcoin dominance is only really going to be at like 30%, if not less than 30%, as all the altcoins gain. It doesn't really matter if they have clarity or not. They're all going to gain because that clarity thing only really matters in the United States. And with the SEC losing like every one of these lawsuits right now, I don't think it's going to really matter all that much. And I don't think the SEC is going to be able to stop anyone at this point. So Bitcoin to 120K. I do think a lot of that is going to have to do with institutions coming in with ETF money. And, BlackRock has said, hundreds of billions of dollars within the next 3 years. Next year is going to be the beginning of that. And the hundreds of billions of dollars continuously coming in may mean that the bear market isn't actually so bad afterwards. So I'm really, really looking forward to 2024 and also looking into 2025, even the beginning of 2025, as a big turn up for Bitcoin. I actually believe that Bitcoin will probably max at around 150K, but 120 is safe for next year because I do believe it could max in early 2025. According to the whole halving cycle, it's kind of like hard baked in, and it happens like almost every time like that. So that's my prediction, first prediction for next year. My second big prediction for next year is that the Ethereum ETF will be approved. Not the Bitcoin ETF, that's pretty much guaranteed, but the Ethereum ETF. I think Grayscale has filed for this, and they're using the same logic as their Bitcoin ETF, and I don't know if the SEC can actually deny this logic, because basically there's Ethereum futures ETFs, and if you have futures ETFs, why can't you have spot ETFs? And the judge on the Bitcoin ETF specifically ruled on this. He was like, well, you see, SEC and Gary Gensler, I see that these spot ETFs and the futures ETFs are same 99.9% of the time. So if you allow one, why don't you allow the other? And Gary Gensler's like, because I don't like spot ETFs. And the judge was like, that is not a reason. You will have to reconsider. So if they lose this case for Bitcoin spot ETFs, I don't really see how they could argue for not approving Ethereum ETFs like this as well. It honestly just does not make any sense. And do I think this will help the price of Ethereum? Yes, I do think it'll help the price of Ethereum. Now, this doesn't solve any of Ethereum's scaling problems. They're still going to have to deal with those. And eventually, I think those will actually tank Ethereum. But in the next year or two, that's not going to happen. And when this Ethereum ETF comes through, I bet a lot of people are actually going to buy into this ETF, which will make it a big winner. So I think Bitcoin and Ethereum, I do think they will make pretty good investments over the next year. And maybe next year and a half, because they're the only ones that are going to have ETFs. The other coins will not get ETFs because there's just not enough demand for any of those coins. So Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF is going to come through, and it's going to all be by the end of next year. The ERC20 thing will probably get a boost. Just the amount of money coming to Ethereum will probably boost the liquidity for ERC20 as well. My third prediction is that 3 countries will actually allow Bitcoin for legal tender. 3 more countries besides El Salvador. I see a lot of poorer countries around the world actually having trouble with economics. They can't get their hands on the US dollar. They're looking at hyperinflation. The US interest rates going up so high affects more than just the United States. And the thing is, I do think they will turn to Bitcoin. I think some of their population is already looking at digital currencies, even though the countries themselves don't allow it. But I think there's going to be some forward-looking governments or some really, really desperate governments that finally be you know what, we're going to allow this because we need it. The U.S. isn't that friendly to us. They're not giving us U.S. dollars. The printer has not turned on yet over there, and we can't get our hands on any U.S.-based dollar services, so we're going to use Bitcoins instead. Now, that might actually get the United States somewhat nervous as well, or the IMF somewhat nervous as well. But realistically, the IMF has not been very successful at stopping El Salvador from going this route, and I don't think they're going to be able to stop other third world countries from going this route because they get too desperate. Because these countries, their own currency is no good because it hyperinflates, and they can't get their hands on US dollars. So they have to look for another option. Like countries that can actually get enough US dollars, they'd rather actually use US dollars, obviously. And that's true for pretty much all the countries in the world. But a lot of countries just can't get it. So they'll go for like the next best thing, which is Bitcoin. Now, it's not very stable for day-to-day use, obviously, but it's going to be better than their currencies. And I see like a lot of countries falling into that bucket within the next 5 years, but hopefully 3 more will use Bitcoin legal tender as next year. And that will actually boost up Bitcoin as more and more countries like kind of make it official that you can use Bitcoin. And yes, they're probably all going to go through Lightning if they actually decide to use Bitcoin as actual spending money, because the actual Bitcoin network's too slow. It can't handle that, but Lightning, it can do that. And I don't think the centralization problem will really be that much of a problem for Lightning anyways. The next prediction is that India will fall further and further away from BRICS. Now, this isn't exactly a crypto prediction, more like a geopolitical prediction. I know a lot of people have been basically like raving about BRICS, but it's really only in the crypto community where people actually care about this stuff. I think India, which is one of their obviously a major asset to BRICS, being one of the 5 founding countries, will actually fall further from BRICS. They already rejected the BRICS dollar today, and they are refusing to basically use the Chinese yuan to settle oil payments. I honestly think, based on China and India's relationship, I think they'd rather use like Shiba Inu to settle like oil relationships than the Chinese yuan. India is realizing that it's actually more advantageous for them to actually buddy-buddy with the West than buddy-buddy with BRICS, because they're in direct competition for China, and they don't want China to grow any stronger. Because remember, India and China have been skirmishing on their borders for a very, very long time, and that's not likely to stop. Plus, like China's incursion in the South China Sea and other encroaching territories has got to have everyone in that region worried, including India. So they don't really want China's prominence to grow. They don't want China's influence to grow, and they don't want China's territorial ambitions to grow. So the thing is, like the countries in that Southeast Asia region, they're not really likely to be all that friendly to BRICS as long as China has such a dominant role. And India is probably going to kind of like join that bucket as well. I don't think they'll fall out of BRICS, but I think their goals and the rest of BRICS will get further and further apart, because like China is really trying to push their currency to not really supplant the US dollar, to be an alternative to the US dollar. And India does not favor that at all. So I do think they're going to kind of have a falling out. And India is honestly, of all the BRICS countries' economies, it's the only one that's really growing right now. China's is not really growing anymore. They're hiding a lot of their numbers. Their real estate market's basically almost in shambles at this point. The government's like desperately trying to keep it up. Russia's economy is basically falling off a cliff at this point, and you can tell by the Russian ruble versus the US dollar and their continuous emergency hikes of interest rates of up to like double-digit interest rates. They can't maintain that forever, and the war is really, really taking a huge chunk out of their economy, and that doesn't seem to end anytime soon. South Africa, they can't even keep the lights on. They've had like rolling blackouts for years, and they're necessary to keep their grid at least somewhat operational. So 3 out of the 5 BRICS countries are almost in like, well, 2 out of the five BRICS countries are in critical condition. China's not quite critical yet, but it's getting there. Brazil, I think, is okay. India is doing well. But the thing is, like, I think India is going to fall further and farther from BRICS because China is going to try to dominate BRICS, and India is not going to do that. And you can see the first liaison right now because India is refusing to use the Chinese yuan to settle oil payments. And of course, I do predict a meme coin mania. Part of that is because I was just given a couple $100 worth of Floki Inu by one of my subscribers, one of my live watchers. That's very cool. But part of it is because, every time we have a bull run, one of these meme coins pops up, either because of Elon Musk or something else. Now, Floki, the one I have, and Doge, they're 2 bigger meme coins. Yes, some people are saying I should trade Floki for Pepe. I'm not trading Floki for Pepe. I just don't think Pepe has that much staying power. But, there's going to be some new crap meme coin that actually comes up. I know SNEC is pumping a lot right now, so I might want to buy some SNEC sooner or later. So I will be accepting donations in meme coins, whether on Cardano or BSC or Ethereum blockchain or anything else, because one of these things is going to pop off. So I think allocating 10% of your portfolio, possibly 15% of your portfolio in meme coins is actually a really, really good idea, because, it's a part that you can afford to lose, but one of those meme coins is going to pop off. And if you hit it, bam, that is money. That's probably more money that you'll make for the rest of your portfolio as well. So that's my predictions for the 5 predictions I have for next year. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button, and I will see you guys later.